used to be that when Virginians elected their governor, they were guided by Virginia issues, taxes, schools, transportation, labor, those sorts of things. Every once in a while, national politics would intrude, and that was the case in the 1950s after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that separate public schools for black and white kids were unconstitutional. In a southern state like Virginia, where segregation was the rule, the decision made a lot of voters, a lot of white voters, very angry. They supported candidates for governor who pledged to resist integration, and those polls made good on that troubling promise. National politics is intruding again. This time, it's President Donald Trump and his attack on federal spending and employment. Both are huge drivers of the Virginia economy, roughly 30%. And if Trump succeeds in cutting both deeply, it could drive Virginia's economy, to borrow one of Governor Glenn Youngkin's favorite turns of phrase from several years back, into a ditch. Youngkin's not on the ballot in November. That's because Virginia's governor can't run for consecutive terms. But Youngkin, a Republican firmly in the Trump camp, knows that people vote their pocketbooks. And you can bet that federal employees will do so, especially if they've become former federal employees, or they fear they could become former federal employees. We're talking about a lot of people. Analysts at the University of Virginia estimate that more than 400,000 people in this state are paid by Uncle Sam. That includes roughly 145,000 civil service workers and contractors, the third largest number in the country behind California and Washington, D.C. So what are the Virginia politicians doing about this? The Democratic Speaker of the House, Don Scott, named a bipartisan committee to monitor what the Trump administration does and doesn't do to help or hurt federal employees. Scott isn't ruling out a special session of the General Assembly to fashion some sort of a bailout. The Democratic candidates for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general and the House of Delegates are talking a lot about the chaos in D.C., and you can expect to hear more. Republicans, and that includes Youngkin as the party's cheerleader-in-chief, are for the most part defending what Trump is doing. There are even Republicans who say the Trump approach in D.C. is just what should be done in Richmond. But Youngkin especially is attempting a very perilous balancing act. While talking up Trump's policies and the Trump partnership with Elon Musk, the governor is rolling out what might be described as a digital job fair for federal workers who get the axe. It's a website where posted are all vacant jobs in Virginia in the private sector. There are also pointers for job hunters, such as writing an effective resume. That might even be useful for Youngkin come January, when he's out of a job. For the Richmond Times-Dispatch, this is Jeff Shapiro.